Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all feeling well. Data, as we have just learned, has been a tremendous amount collected throughout the last 2 years. 10 years ago, I do not look like this, but 10 years ago in the directory industry, we have felt that data that we collected from our customers is the most important treasure that we have, and it's the most valuable asset that we had. These days, a lot of things are different, as like we have seen here. And data is playing an important role in terms of advertising, but also within the local search industry, a lot of data is not corrected in our systems and in our apps, in our portals. So there's a lot of ways how to deal with this data. On the one side, with the advertising part, and on the other side, with cleaning up the data, making the data more efficient, more structured. And we have two examples of that. On the one side, Mandeep from Places IQ. Places IQ is a US company which has just entered into Europe, into UK. Mandeep is the general manager, EMEA, for Places IQ, and has been with Microsoft, Navtech, and has leading positions in the board of IAB and also the Mobile Marketing Association. And he will talk about his company and how he is supporting, or he's using data to support advertising. And then on the other side, we have Hans Speidel from CrowdGuru, a German-based crowdsourcing company that works with large brands, also with local search companies like directory companies, in order to help them to structure their data. So welcome, Hans, as well. And we start with Mandeep.
Presentation wrong. Should I skip through? Or well, maybe you close your eyes for a second. Do you want to kick off first? There you go. Might as well answer.
Well, then I go first. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. So this is here. I skip it. I'm gonna talk about crowdsourcing. I don't know if you heard about this term before. Very interesting. And well, this morning we already mentioned many times the topic big data. Data is being produced in high volumes, and it's increasing every minute, every day. And the variety of the data is being more diverse. We have audios, we have videos, images, many kinds of different data. And well, the question is how do we use this data and how do we make value out of the data for our purpose? And as we heard already earlier this morning, there are machines and algorithms which already can do amazing things and help you to analyze the data, to make decisions on it. But on the other hand, there's some things that humans still tend to do better. And there we come to crowdsourcing. Crowdsourcing offers you access to a huge workforce, human intelligence, which can help you to make your data at the end more effective. There are many things the crowd can do. I've just pointed out a few solutions: data enrichment, data categorization, content moderation, and also sentiment analysis, what we also heard earlier this morning. The great thing about crowdsourcing is that you can scale it up, that you have this huge crowd, and that you can deal with huge amounts of data. Since you have a crowd, in our case, it's like 40,000 people working on our platform, so they can handle a big amount of data with a high speed and reasonable costs. Well, just to show you very quickly how the process looks like with us, company has some kind of data. They deliver it to us either by API connection or just via Excel file. We structure the data, we divide it into so-called microjobs and make it available on the platform to our crowd. They work on the data, they structure, they do the job. Then on the platform there's the quality assurance. Of course, that's a very important topic, the quality. They deliver, and and at the end we can give it back to the customer in the format he wants to have it. to give you one example from out of the area, local data. What we do a lot, especially for directories, we help them to enrich their local data, like small local companies, restaurants, etc. And normally they have just like the basis data, the address and the name, and then we can help them to enrich the data by using the crowd who retrieves the data at the end from the primary source. He has an example, a pizza place, and they can take the data like opening hours, payment methods, maybe the menu, what is the restaurant offering, do they have a delivery service, etc. And they're, yeah, this, okay. At the end, just to show you a few numbers, case study, we received like 80,000 data entries of local companies. And what we did is that first we checked the data, we verified the data, we deleted false data, corrected data, and then we enriched the data and added additional information to the data. So we made out of 80,000 data entries within only a few days about nearly 250,000 data entries. So you could enrich the data and make much more value out of the data at the end. So this is just one example, but there are many other examples which I can tell you maybe later. Thank you very much.
Great, everyone. Fantastic to be here. Our CEO of PlaceIQ, which is the company I work for, is a 6-year-old company, is a massive fan of Street Fight, and is very pleased for us to be part of the event. So thanks very much to the organisers. So PlaceIQ started a journey about 6 years ago of understanding the real world and realising that these devices in our pocket were going to continue to explode in the amount of penetration, and we were excited by two things. We're excited by, first of all, the opportunity that presents as a channel for marketers to sort of engage with consumers. But I think there was an underlying, more kind of forward-looking thinking from the business that this is an incredibly powerful sensor to generate data which can help us understand consumer behavior and drive a whole set of impacts. So I'm going to show you a very short video, first of all, about our business. Hopefully it will do a quick job of helping you understand PlaceIQ.
At PlaceIQ, we see things a little bit differently. As the world becomes increasingly digital, our everyday interactions generate a vast amount of data. This data offers unprecedented insight into human behavior. Welcome to PlaceIQ. Here's how we enable smarter business decisions. Our location intelligence platform uses a grid to organize and ingest over 1 trillion points of data. The grid contains over 1 billion 100 by 100 meter tiles covering the entire United States. We assign each tile characteristics using thousands of rules. Because behavior changes depending on time of day, each tile changes based on different time periods. Our platform is then brought to life using mobile device movement data. This lets us define, build, and reach audiences based on their real-world behavior. We provide detailed analytics across a number of products and verticals, so you can understand how many devices visit a specific location, see where those devices were before, and understand the types of people that are visiting. PlaceIQ believes intelligent data tells important stories about human behavior. How well do you understand your audience? PlaceIQ, real-world understanding.
So I think if I look at what we've been probably largely successful at is taking these devices, which all have different types of unique identifiers attached to them. We've built profiles around 100 million devices in the US that show data persistently, and it's now 25 million in the UK as we launched there as of last year. And The part of the business that I've been fascinated by since I joined, but also, it's the journey we're on, is, location data is a combination of two things in our realm. It's knowing where places are with a high degree of precision. We have over 1 million polygons of commercial businesses in the US that we've hand-drawn with the team we have, and we've actually partnered with a company that's given us a very solid base map of 600,000 businesses in the UK. We also know where things like where households are, recreational spaces, transport hubs. And then over the top of that, as I mentioned, we have sourced from hundreds of thousands of apps regular and persistent location data. So we're building profiles anonymously around basically consumer behavior to an individual profile. What we started a journey of about 3 years ago was actually finding successful ways to blend that data with other third-party data sets. We have about 40 partners we now work with to link data they have that's been around for some time. It could be demographic data, census data, it could be TV viewership data, often linking back to a household and basically creating a link of the profile to that household. And then on top of that, more recently, we've heard some examples today. First-party data is really sort of stepping out of the darkness and the coffers of businesses themselves. I think there's a tremendous amount of value that we're going to continue to see unlocked around how businesses' CRM data can be structured better to talk to third-party data sets that exist. And we think what this is doing, this approach we're taking by blending location in, is creating a new model of consumer behavior. Once you've got location ingrained with your consumer profiles, it can have a far-reaching impact around targeting the right audiences based on how they're behaving in the offline world. Measuring the impact of whether someone went to your website, someone saw an ad, someone touched your app, did they go to a physical store? And if you take the UK as an example, we know now, for example, that of the overall commerce market, online, mobile represents a third. And that will probably continue to grow and get to somewhere near 50% by 2020. What we know at the same time, though, is that 85% of sales in the UK are taking place in retail physical stores. And so we're still somewhat voting with our feet, and even if you look at the most optimistic of kind of forecasts, that's set to kind of reach 80% in 4 or 5 years' time. So we're still expecting retail to be a big area we like to touch, feel, and experience. And we're really driving basically a business that's helping people understand the impact of driving visitation in the real world. It has impacts on mobile, it has impacts on desktop ads, video ads, it can even touch social and help influence that journey. We do a lot of work in the US around addressable and linear TV, bringing viewership habits into how does seeing a certain TV ad make you behave in terms of visitation in the real world. And then it goes on to other use cases. The list is really endless, but I would say we're starting to come out of the realm of marketers now using this just for digital-led activities into more of an enterprise realm, which is looking at things like site selection for retail apps, using circulation data to work out where they should be opening and closing stores, where is the best place for them to work on their out-of-home advertising. And just to wrap up, really, we have 2 distinct business units within what we do. There is a media-led business that we've driven great success through over the last 6 years, and that's really about us using our audience data and our knowledge of how consumers are behaving and applying that to mobile and desktop ads, and then helping customers understand the impact in the real world. What's changing for us, and I think this is again just part of the revolution we're seeing in data, is a real advanced level of discussion taking place with many of the clients that we work with. They now see an opportunity outside of media. Here's a rich set of data that they've never really been able to access before without running limited sets of panels. There's a consistent set of movement data from consumers that they can bring together with other business initiatives they have to solve challenges, and that's what we describe as our more enterprise-led business. So I'll leave it there and happily take some questions from it.
Thanks a lot. Sit over here.
See.
Yeah. All right. Before we take questions from the audience, I would start with Mandeep. So all that data you aggregate from all the different areas within your technology and how you optimize the media campaigns and all the advertising campaigns. what role is playing the local data, and how is it affecting the campaign success?
Absolutely. So, the starting point of our platform is a base map. So, from a geospatial data point of view, we have to know where things are, be it a big brand store or a small store, with precision. So, we have an entire sort of geospatial team within Place IQ that continually procures data, or place data of where things are, and we ingest that, organize it, structure it, and build basically an analysis around that level of the local, real physical world.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the other side, you do these optimization for large media, for large brands, for agencies as well. So what is the success factor, or what is the critical success factors these companies are looking when they hire your service?
Yeah, sure. The mobile ad market, I would say I've been in it for 12 years. I think it's been doing very well for 7. And I think the large part of that, if you look at studies from the IAB, has been about brands driving more success with commerce and retailing on the device itself. And I think that we're in a really good position there. It still remains the top metric. But I think the businesses realize actually that through the power of smartphones and some of the innovation that's happening around data, that they're very interested in this online to offline environment, and how do they bridge that gap and build a better understanding to influence people that are out in the market in the real world. So the sort of things people want from us, the first thing is our place visit rate product. So we built a product which we've got a patent pending on, which aims to link the exposure to unique devices and unique cookies, and basically provide a report back to the customer that says, hey, you exposed 100,000 customers, here's the percentage that turned up in store that we observed there in that physical location, and that was a lift versus this control group of X, Y, Z. And that was a starting point for us, a journey that we were on for about 4 years. We've now started taking that to the next step, because we can actually, on top of that report, go back and give intelligence to the brands about what else we think those customers do in the real world. So with our typical reporting back to customers, we now show them that the 200,000 people we might see at Tesco's in the last 30 days, we can build insights on how else they behave. We had a very high-end UK retailer that came to us recently and basically asked, can you help me work out where my customers are cross-shopping? Because I have no easy way of telling that. So we were able to take a highly statistical panel of users from our platform that we're observing passively and basically produce a report that looked at data over 60 days. So I think that's really where the market's going. It is about clicks, and that still remains an important metric, but I think when we get into this offline realm, it's really about how am I shifting the needle with pulling people in store.
All right. Thanks a lot. So questions to Hans. You said that you do all these things for local search companies as well for large brands, cleansing the data. How you ensure the quality? Because I think that's one of the key issues here.
Yeah, quality is very important, of course, and the most important thing is the people on the platform who work there. It's the right people with the right qualification. Well, we assure this that first of all they have to, before they go on the platform, they have to do tests. They have to qualify for certain jobs, and it's important that these people that they have fun, that they are motivated, and that they keep on working on our platform. So we always have to ensure that offer and demand is on the same level, that we have enough jobs for them to do. Yeah, so that they keep on working for us, so they understand better how it works, and at the end they deliver better quality.
So how big is the network of your crowd guys?
The what?
Of your crowd gurus?
How many?
How many?
Yeah, currently we're like 40,000 people working on the platform.
30,000 people.
Yeah, 40,000. Wow. They're based more or less all over the world. Of course, most of them, like 60%, are German speaking, but the rest is like several other countries, Europe, but also Asia, South America.
Mm-hmm. And you showed us an example with a directory company, which some of us are quite familiar with. But how you work with large brands as well?
Yeah, actually mainly large brands, and there are several topics we work on. One topic I mentioned is content moderation, meaning that that we analyze user-generated content mainly, reviews, for example. Companies want to know what they talk about their product, and they want to understand better what the consumers think about it. This is one area, but on the other hand, we have one company, a big Chinese company, a mobile company. For them, we do image segmentation, meaning they have pictures of a street, and we have to label, very simple at the end, label the objects on the picture, and at the end, it helps this company to learn, give input to the machine. Yeah? At the end, it's for machine learning.
So the first is the human data entered then into the machine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So very often we help the companies that their machines or their algorithms work better. Yeah,
I think it's a very good combination to have the human behavior and to analyze the human behavior with technology, but on the other side use humans to help to use that. That's very, very important, very impressive. Do we have questions from the audience? It's a very two different topics.
Sorry.
Hi, this is to Place IQ. In terms of, you say that you have a large team ingesting data and cleaning it and making it useful for your platform. I spend a lot of my time cleansing data for our clients. But where you said in your presentation that you worked with another company to give you the baseline data to then clean up, like where does that first tranche of data come from to then push into your systems?
Yeah, it's a great question. Because we'd been going for 6 years in the US, and we hired a team that's very engineering and tech focused, or heavy even. We had a team of specialists that basically, we licensed satellite imagery. We built a tool of our own where we could build polygons of buildings using that tool stack. And we had like 25 people there that could contract and scale that constantly. When it came to the UK, we wanted to launch at speed, and so we've partnered with companies that have government-grade building footprint data. And rather than having to clean that because it was the best quality data it was really about bringing it in and structuring it into the base map of our product. And then we continue to work with other data sources to basically have the best understanding we can of the UK currently, and the different places consumers are either dwelling in or passing through, including road network maps, for example. So,
Thanks.
Yes, Manu. I'm intrigued with such a big investment that you have. What kind of investors are behind your company, and what types of monetization you have?
He wants to invest.
Yeah.
No, I just want to see who's behind. What kinds of monetization sort of models you have, and what actually give us some sort of case studies?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we have a fantastic portfolio of about 11 investors in the business. These are companies that, if you look at PlaceIQ's earlier business, it was sort of been categorized more in the ad tech space. So we have companies, investors that have a strong portfolio in that realm. We've recently announced a Series D round earlier this year of $25 million as well, which is great in terms of, the media side of our business is quite advanced now, and we have a very strong customer base and are innovating there. But actually, we always have been a technology company, and, we've got quite large ambitions in the enterprise realm. The ability to make our data ubiquitous across the marketing cloud ecosystem, etc., is really where we're going to be positioning ourselves in terms of additional funding and for growth of our product as well. Does that help? Case studies? Yeah, so there's a few things. So media as one, in terms of how we're getting a return from it. I mean, that's a business that's fairly scaled for us. So, that's us basically transacting with advertisers and agencies directly on a media campaign-led basis. It could be of a varying amount. And, our return there is clearly, we've got a business that has a fairly decent margin in it, and we're bringing our audience data into that, as well as sort of procuring the apps that consumers are going to be targeted in for our advertisers. On the enterprise side of the business, and that's quite new for us, that whole world is about finding business models that are license-based. So this is where customers just want to take feeds of our visitation data in the real world. And so we have a fee-based model and an integration-based model for a DMP, like an Oracle, an Adobe, or a Crux that a client may be working with, and we'd basically be charging for a fee based on the amount of data they use from us. It also, in the advertising landscape, this programmatic session that you heard just before, data is going through a major revolution through programmatic, and so some of the vendors at that level also are interested in licensing data from us, again on a usage-based model this time. So those are the sort of three commercial areas. I hope that sort of helps answer. Yeah.
One last question.
Question to Hans. The initial collection of the data is the one thing, but how do you keep the data up to date?
What do you mean up to date? Well,
Because we know that the data is changing all the time, like opening hours or restaurants, they open up and they close.
Well, to be honest, this is first of all an issue of the customer, yeah, because we help the customer to keep the data up to date, and it depends if the customer wants to have it regular checked up again, yeah. And definitely, yes, the restaurants are opening, closing, new restaurants are opening, so there's a lot of fluctuation in certain sectors, yeah, definitely, and that's why it makes sense to also work for us, because the data we provide is like actual, yeah, it's accurate and actual, so it's up to date. But of course, in a year later, it can change again.
That's why you have to hire him again.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So thank you, Jakob. Thank you, guys. Great.